There we go.
Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. It's half-time at Hampden. It's Celtic 1, Aberdeen 0. It's been kind of as we expected, Liam. We're dominating the game. We're playing football. We're probing. We're trying to get, find a way through. And Aberdeen are basically trying to kick lumps at us because there doesn't seem to be much else in the locker. What have you made of that first half?
We've done what we had to do. We got a goal because Aberdeen's entire game plan seems to be, like you say, putting the boot in and trying to basically shut down Celtic creatively at every opportunity. Yep. So getting a goal means they now have no choice. They have to open up in the second half. And it's going to be better for us in terms of getting the game won, but it's also going to make for a better game of football because, let's be honest, that was not a great first half to watch, but I'm happy with the scoreline.
Yeah, not a vintage performance. I think, we had about 80+% possession, I think, for the bulk of that game. A lot of people not happy with the kind of horseshoe style sometimes that we see, but I think given the way our been set up, it was almost necessary to try and find those little pockets in behind. A couple of times we made it. Greg Taylor with a great ball through for Maeda, just doesn't really quite get... I still don't think it's the strongest part of his game, the crossing, particularly left foot crossing on Maeda. I'm not sure he always gets the direction quite right. But he's looked dangerous at times. He's been getting in behind and trying to make something happen. I think Callum McGregor is having a fantastic game. A little bit worrying on the half-hour mark. He makes that brilliant track back tackle, and it looks a little for a minute that something maybe have went in the calf or the hamstring there, but he seems to have recovered pretty well enough. And Maeda's been on the end of a few rough hits. And ironically, the yellow cards came from what I think was probably the best tackle of the day on Carter Vickers. Perfectly timed, wins the ball in front of the player. Aberdeen player moans about it, and we get a yellow card. Make it make sense. The referee, I don't think, he's done too much wrong other than that, to be fair, but some of the tackles are getting quite meaty out there, and it's what we've come to expect from Aberdeen, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just as well that the goal's probably going to go down as an own goal because that makes it a lot harder for VAR to chop it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you touched on the head there. Creatively, we're struggling a wee bit to make that breakthrough. Some people pointing to Ida. I think Ida's actually had to come deep at times. He's had to come wide at times to try and just get a touch of the ball because we're not really able to find him at the moment. And to be fair, he's putting in a bit of a shift and putting himself about. But we're missing that creative spark that maybe a Rio Hatate would bring. I mean, this game's almost tailor-made for Hatate, isn't it? Just those penetrative passes, reading the lines, just trying to get the ball through. Bernardo, though, to his credit, has come in and he's been involved in a game. I really like Bernardo's use of the ball. I think he reads the game well. What have you made of his performance coming in?
He's trying to make things happen, and I like to see that. Even when the team is not necessarily firing all cylinders, I can appreciate when a guy's trying to make it happen, and Bernardo has been trying to make it happen. So now he's doing fine for me.
Absolutely. Another player we spoke about pre-match was Liam Scales. Now, I know Aberdeen's not offered a great deal going forward, but he seems to be on the end of everything that's coming anywhere near our box. I think he's had an excellent game so far. Really
he had that one moment quite early on in the first half where he seemed to kind of forget that the ball was with him. And you get the shout from Callum McGregor. But after that, I think the manager was basically telling him, look, anything comes near you, just attack it. And that seems to be what he's been doing, and he's been doing it really well. So not the best first half of football, but I think Scales is a potential man of the match contender at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's get some of the comments and see what folks are making of it. James Devine comes in. Welcome to the show, mate. I've been impressed with Bernardo. Yeah, I would agree. I think he's done his job. I think we have to take into consideration that Aberdeen really are so camped in their first, in their own half. In that first half, I mean, Scales and Carter Vickers, the freedom of Hampden, at least one half of it for the bulk of that game, because there was just no attacking impetus from Aberdeen at all. JJ Celtic comes in. Welcome to the channel. Defence splitting passes needed. Yeah, I think you're right there. And Paul Rees comes in. Second goal when the floodgates open. Yeah, assuming we can get it. I mean, is there a concern, Liam, that because we're not creating a huge amount? I mean, I'm so glad we got the breakthrough. But was there a concern creeping in that the more we fail to create these really clear-cut chances, that we can embolden Aberdeen to say, well, actually, we've soaked up the pressure now, we might actually get something on the break. I'm not seeing a huge amount from Aberdeen, but there is always that risk until you get a couple of goals away.
As long as it's 1-0, there's still that risk. But no, they've offered absolutely nothing creatively. Their whole strat, and it's a shame. I'd be really annoyed if I was an Aberdeen fan right now, because you pay a lot of money, you go down to Glasgow for a cup final, you're thinking it's a one-off game, boys, go and have a go. And they just haven't. Just haven't. They've been playing like it's a damage limitation exercise.
Yeah. I would agree with that. We'll get a few more comments and let's see. Christie comes in, I think this echoes my comments, trying to half-tags him or get him annoyed to kick out. He's been on the end of a few rough ones. He's not a player that typically stays down. He did get a knee right in the tailbone towards the end of that second half. He also took a bad fall on the neck. To be fair, as a player, Liam, and you'll know this, he seems to have the mentality to just sort of shake these things off and get on with it. But it was worrying to see him stay down. And there is a physicality with Aberdeen. They don't back out of challenges, and we've got to kind of fight fire with fire a little bit in this match. But you're worried about how the referee's going to deal with it.
Aye, I mean, like you say, the yellow card comes from one of the cleanest tackles of the game. I mean, granted, the way the CCV ragdolled Shinnie afterwards was class.
Oh, right. He wasn't letting him away. He actually had him and pulled him back and said, "Hang on a minute, we're not done yet, mate."
But my dad actually said it reminded him of that scene in one of the Superman films, where he grabs the guy and chucks him right across the bar.
It's good, but do you know what? I want to see that. I don't want our players to be bullied, because I think Aberdeen have got this reputation of being the schoolyard bullies of Scottish football a little bit. I mean, I saw somebody refer to them in the comments earlier as Dirty Dean, and they're reminiscent of the old Dirty Leeds that they used to say down south, but albeit with about 10% of the talent. But they're certainly living up to the reputation of being the bully boys. But it was nice to see CCV to kind of stand up for himself and say, no, hang on, that's not on. But I think there's going to be a physical game in the second half. Let's see. Lippy 33 comes in and says, Scales' job is easy. The whole game is in front of him. Yeah, but I think he's done well. And I think, to be fair, that's virtue of his position, right? But the fact is that he's carrying the ball forward when he can. He's trying to help feed the attack. But I think, ultimately, he can only deal with what comes his way, and I think he's done a pretty good job. Winning plenty of headers, positioning himself well, looks good. Bush 79 Hail comes in. Yep, I think it's Bush 79 Hail comes in and says, I'm officially over Kuhn too many of these performances. He's not managed to influence the game possibly the way he'd want. I think he's been involved enough, but he has been quite well marshalled. Liam, what have you made of Nicholas Kuhn's match so far?
I think it's kind of similar to Bernardo in the sense that he's trying to make things happen, but it's just no. I mean, you can only do so much when you're surrounded by defenders at every opportunity.
Yep.
They're basically playing against a brick wall at the moment. It's really hard to watch, and our players could probably do better, but I just don't. I don't want to single out any of our players and say they've been bad today, because playing against a team like that is always going to make good players look bad.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think at the same time, you're looking for someone to maybe take a bit of responsibility. Is there a concern, Liam, that some of your players are not taking the impetus? Because there's a lot of passing. We seem to be trying to be too cute sometimes to get the ball into the box. Too many one-touch, nice little 1-2 movements. Are we maybe looking more for, as Greg Taylor nearly demonstrated in the first half, he had that pretty decent shot just over the bar. Do we need more of that kind of just have a go at the moment and just drive through? I think that's maybe what we might be missing. Phil Sorrow comes in to say Aberdeen are rotten, not worried at all. Things in the bag because Aberdeen offer nothing going forward. Certainly so far, Phil. But I think you don't want to count your chickens in case we give them the opportunity to counter and we get hit on that sucker punch. So maybe another couple of goals for a cushion. But I would agree. Certainly first half they're not exactly setting the world on fire with their forward play. Slabbering Cabbage comes in to say need Jamesy on. I think it could be the kind of player that would come in, Liam, and maybe use as we referenced the pre-match, use that game intelligence to try and find those pockets of space that Aberdeen are not quite able to marshal as much. Paul McLean comes in to say, to be honest, the game is going pretty much the way I thought it would. Probably a lot of people agree with you, Paul. Stuffy Aberdeen, but now we're 1-up. Aberdeen have to come out different. Exactly what Liam mentioned earlier. And James Devine comes in. He did come in, but I've lost you, James. Oh, there we go. James Devine comes out and says CCV's goal certainly wasn't a McTominay. The Napoli win, Scudetto win last night. But as Liam said, it would never be offside. Yeah, absolutely. Not a vintage goal. Certainly not by Carter Vickers' recent standards. It wasn't the rocket that he fired in. But listen, whether it comes off a ham, whether it comes off the Aberdeen player, I don't think we'll mind. It's all about being that goal up. And listen, if it ends a scrappy 1-0, Liam, I won't be too disappointed because it's ultimately all about the result. Mikey comes in, makes a suggestion: 4-4-2, Maeda and Ida up top or up front second half. Brendan's not one for changing it, Liam, is he? He doesn't tend to tweak the formation too much. A lot of us have called to say, do we really need the 4 at the back? Could we play with an extra man up front, go that 3-5-2? And when you see the way Aberdeen's set up today to just soak up and try and absorb the pressure, you think there's opportunity to do that. And you look at players like Greg Taylor, who's pretty good at carrying the ball, had a great pass for Maeda in the first half, very unlucky with a long-range shot. I think he's actually a good game today. He came back into midfield and was tracked back and actually won the ball a few times. You sort of think, well, he's doing his best work further up the park. So actually, is there not an opportunity there to maybe get another player? How do you think we assert our dominance in the second half? Would you make any changes around the 60th minute? And how do we go on and perform for the second half in this game?
I think assuming that players who have played in the first half continue to play the same way they're playing in the second half, I think you put Dyson through the middle, take Ida off, bring on Yang, and swap Kuhn for Forrest. I think that would be go with a front 3 of Yang, Forrest, and Maeda for the second half, because I think both of those players. Forrest has got the experience, the old heat who can, if we're 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go, he'll know how to take the ball for a walk in the corner flag.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Yang has got that wee bit of flair and bit of creativity to try and make something happen. Yeah,
it's a big opportunity for the guys coming off the bench, and they'll be itching to come on and perform against Aberdeen because they did so in the last game against them. So you might feel that they've got the beating of Aberdeen already. John Watt comes in and says Maeda through the middle, Ida and Forrest, let's go. So he's maybe thinking the 2 up front as well. Ida getting a wee bit of a little bit of tight in the comments. John McVeigh comes in to say Ida's a very ordinary player, a 9 million Norwich reserve. I think it's maybe slightly unfair because I think he's, as Liam said, he's putting a shift in today. It's just that the way the teams are set up, and this is the challenge with Scottish football. When you come up against the champions, teams sit back. So it's very, it's not as easy to break down the players. Atmosphere looks really good at the park. I've noticed, Liam, that every time Kuhn goes for a corner, he's getting pelted with tissue paper. I'm assuming that's because the Hampden seats are bolted down and the Aberdeen fans kind of get them off.
No. I did. Did you notice though that banner on the corner flag for the Aberdeen fans? I thought it was quite good banter.
I didn't see it. What would they say?
And you get Inter Milan is obviously the team. They had Inter Milan supporters club. I thought the wee picture of a sheep. I thought, aye, well, play into it,
Fair play. It is all good banter. Listen, the cheer jibe at the Aberdeen fans, we know that was a shocking incident. It was just one fan, and actually the reaction from a lot of Aberdeen fans was spot on the money for that, and condemning it. So we don't want to see that, but it is just banter here at the moment. Mappy come back into the channel to say Jamesy needs to be on this park. He has earned that. I think there's no doubt that we'll certainly see Jamesy Forrest come in. And the Wilson QW McGregor looked like he got a hamstring strain. Yeah, a little bit of a worrying moment there. I thought McGregor was having an excellent game. I thought he was sweeping everything up, doing a real good job. He went in for a right last-ditch tackle, ended up on his back, and then didn't get up too comfortably. Liam looked as though he'd taken a sore one. He didn't. wasn't moving quite as well after that, which was quite worrying. I saw the players around him give him the ball a few times to say, check him out. You wouldn't want to lose him at this point in the game because he's really, as you suggested before the match, he's the driving force at the moment.
Aye. No, I mean, get the game won, and if we're 2 or 3 up, then we can take him off and rest him. But no, we need him to. We need him on his game until this result is secured, and it's not secure yet.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're 1-0 up. The players are back on the park. Everybody go and enjoy the second half. We'll be back at full time. Really glad to have Liam with me today, and hopefully we're both celebrating by full time. Here we go for the second half. Join us again on a Celtic State of Mind at full time. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.